Hello and good morning. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Risa Eldon and I'm here alongside Jenny from Black Ink Interiors. Thank you so
Hi.
much for joining us, Jenny.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
And today we're going to be kicking off a really informative lunch and learn with you, kind of covering all of the high point market trends that you saw now that things are back in full gear. It's so lovely that so many of our designers were able to attend market, but I know some of you were not. So This is kind of the tell-all with Jenny. Jenny is a thought leader in the industry. So before we get started and run through our slides, going to give you a little bit of background on Jenny and who she is, and tell you a little bit about House Pro. At House Pro, we offer one simple solution for designers to attract and win better clients, run profitable projects, and deliver a standout professional customer experience. So Jenny, thank you again for joining us, is the owner and principal designer of Black Ink Interiors, a luxury residential interior design firm based in Arizona. She and her team serve clients throughout the United States and the Bahamas. Very exciting. Jenny is known for her unique sense of style and ability to visualize the possibilities of any space. She is an award-winning designer who's been featured in several publications such as the Wall Street Journal, Business of Home, and Modern Luxury. Thanks, Jenny, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. High Point was amazing. It's the first time in a long time that it felt like it was back and up and running, and it was crowded, and that was so nice to see. We'd gone twice since COVID, last June and I think October, and it was cricket. So it was really fun to go this time and to see it kind of bustling again.
Buzzing, the energy, the people, the parties, so great.
Awesome.
So we definitely encourage everybody to make their way if you can in October. Yeah. I know we did a big party with one of our vendor partners and it was a huge success. So we're looking forward to doing some more events like that in the fall. All right, so couple agenda items here that we're going to hit on today. We're going to talk about key emerging trends, emerging lines and products. And then, of course, everybody's favorite topic. We have to make fun because that's the reality that we're in right now.
Yeah.
How to best prepare for sourcing challenges. And then we'll kind of wrap with a little Q&A. The third bullet point here, I actually am excited to talk about because I think that Jenny is going to provide us with some key takeaways of how to have these difficult conversations with your clients. And, setting expectations up front from the get-go when they sign that contract with you. I think that's how you've had a lot of success, right, Jenny?
Yeah, absolutely. It's paramount right now that we really focus on good communication with our clients.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you kind of kick it off with some emerging trends.
Okay. All right. So a lot of the things that we saw repeated in multiple vendors and showrooms were the use of natural palettes and different textures, right? Whether that be in wood or fabric, acrylic and glass with metal details, which I thought was really fun. So we have some pictures to look out for that. Customization, this also plays into the sourcing that we'll talk about a little bit later. And then unexpected details, just like little pops that give some visual interest to a piece that you might not be expecting. And then wood tones and textures for case goods. So if we start on the first slide, so this showroom is absolutely beautiful. It's Varellin. And if you haven't gone to this, I really recommend you going. They have created an experience. It's not just a showroom. It's off-site, so you have to make sure you take the shuttle to it, but it is so worth going in. They have their signature scent. From the moment you walk in, it just envelops you with the sounds, the smells. They have a fire burning out in the courtyard with rocks, very textural, very just inviting you want to go in. And then when you get in there, it's just as wonderful and as welcoming and kind of cozy as you imagine it would be. They have these beautiful pieces, but all of them share that same kind of like a neutral palette. And so you have camels, you have ivories, you have all these different tones, but they also, if you can see, really include textures. So like some of my slides will say like natural palettes, but I also want to bring in other things that we're going to talk about later, like textures, because I think they've done a beautiful job on not only just selling this beautiful natural palette, but even from the lighting fixtures to the pillows to the rugs to the plastered walls, everything has a texture. Everything is telling a story. And I really appreciate that. They have styled it perfectly. You've got to go to the showroom. Is amazing. And they have amazing food. So you thank you later.
Wait, two birds with one stone.
Showrooms based on if they have food or snacks for me. And if they don't, I'm like, I'm never going back there.
That's definitely a question I saw come from the audience, and we'll hit that at the end, our Q&A section, just talking about scheduling and how you plan out your day and how many days you go for, because I think you'll have some good like insider tips there. No, tell me, this looks so cozy. This is very much my style, from like the layering of the rugs and the pillows and, like you said, the lighting elements, the art. Is this a style that resonates with your audience in Arizona?
I think it does. And I have to be honest, this is not a style that we find ourselves doing. But as we are looking at trends, just because it's not a style that I'm currently doing doesn't mean that this isn't like trending really hard. And I say trending, but I feel like bringing in textures and having a nice, beautiful, neutral palette is timeless, right? So we talk about it as it being a trend, but at the same time, it's a timeless trend. And this could go, I feel like, in any location, whether that could be in Sedona, it could be in the, California, it could be in New England. It just has a very cool, casual, but elegant vibe to it. This again, for a neutral palette, this is Hickory Chair on the left and Baker on the right. I just wanted to kind of say that, in my opinion, a neutral palette doesn't have to just be like, oh, it's all white and ivories. Oh, it's all this. It's to me, black is a neutral, right? Black, I think you can pair like they've done here with some ivory and some wood tones, and that is a very neutral palette. On the right, you see, the whites, the grays. Again, another neutral palette. It doesn't have to just fit into a white ivory, in my opinion, to be neutral. I don't know if people share that same sentiment or not, but I think black can definitely go neutral for me.
I agree with you. Black is my favorite color. So I'm definitely on board. I either have white or black on my nails normally, and that is a neutral to me, black. So, and I definitely wanted to ask you a question here on this beautiful, this architecture of this sofa. I think you said the right one is Hickory Chair.
The left is Hickory Chair. The right is Baker.
Oh, Baker. Okay. Baker sofas. The architecture of this sofa. Talk to us a little bit about the shape, because this one it kind of looks like an octagon, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. Really, and we are seeing that. We have a lot of pieces in the last few years that have been curved. So you have sort of that rounded edge or kidney shaped, sofas. And for this particular line, there was a lot of use of more geometric, but it doesn't feel harsh. And part of that is, if you look at the fabric, it's a soft, almost looks like a nubby linen. But it seems inviting, right? Like if you picture something, I was like, I'm going to build a geometric, chair, and you're like, oh, that sounds horribly uncomfortable. I want to go crawl in that and read a book, right?
Me too. And so two people can sit in that comfortably, right? Like you can go up and it looks super cozy.
Yes.
It's like a sofa chair, like it's
a chair and a half. Like I want to go read a book in there and curl up and be snuggly. They've sloped the arms, which also make it more inviting, right? Than like high angled arms. So I think they take a lot of a lot of thought goes behind these pieces. And yes, I want it to be different, but I still want it to be welcoming. I want it to be warm. I want it to be cozy. And I appreciate that, because I don't ever want to buy furniture unless it's supposed to be like a sculptural piece that just sits there and it's beautiful as a sculptural, almost art piece. I think people recognize that a lot of us need functioning, and our clients need functioning pieces of furniture. And in this case, I think you can have both. You've got that beautiful structural kind of different form, but then that, people will want to talk about, but then it's incredibly comfortable and soft at the same time.
Totally. And especially like in your area, obviously I know you don't just do Arizona, but you have these big, great rooms. You have these big rooms where you could have a larger piece of furniture versus I live in San Francisco, we are like tiny doorways that we have to get through. Exactly. I think you can actually, implement a piece of furniture like this and it actually look like it fits in the space.
100%. Yeah.
Cool. Let's roll on.
Very versatile.
This is exciting.
Texture. So this in the picture on the left, and all three of these are from Baker. I love, and it's a little bit harder. I wish I could I want to grab my fingers and zoom in and open it up. But the piece on the left is this really beautiful boucle. So very thick and textural. And then it has these beautiful black organic kind of shaped lines running through it, which I love. And then the sofa is just a neutral boucle. But then not only that, we have the layer of texture of the grass cloth walls, and we have the texture of the wood kind of pillar on the side, right? So there's a lot of texture happening. Not one is overwhelming the other, but it's just a beautiful way of use of texture and a little bit of pattern. There's not a lot of color, right? There's not a lot else, just the texture of all those pieces coming together makes a beautiful statement.
I agree. Talk to me a little bit about the boucle, because I feel like I first heard that popping up in March of 2020, right as the pandemic was hitting.
Yes.
Somebody was talking about boucle, and I feel like let's just make sure that the audience knows what this trend is, because it came kind of out of nowhere. And then let's talk about how the durability. How does the boucle, how does that last? Does it start to pill? What are your thoughts on the longevity?
So with boucle, it's different heights of loops. I don't know how it's to describe it more than that. So you'll get a big nubby loop, and then a smaller loop, and then a smaller loop, and then a medium loop, and then a big loop. And it just makes for this beautiful texture that feels very organic, almost like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just so inviting. They have done a wonderful job, and there's some companies that have duplicated this look, but with performance type fabrics like polyester. So whereas if you were going to do one that is made of wool or made of, a different fabric, definitely talk to your vendor and rep and find out, hey, this is for a family home. Do you still feel like this is the best option? They may point you in a different direction. And the way these performance fabrics have come so far in really replicating what linens look like, what silks look like, what boucles look like. We have used on a project, it was from Alder and Tweed, and it's this really cute rounded headboard and footboard, and it's in this beautiful boucle fabric that is, I believe, 100% polyester. So that is, I feel okay putting that in a kid's room, whereas if I was paying a lot more money for a fabric, I would maybe think twice before investing on a piece for kids or family or pets. But wool is also very cleanable fabric or material, I should say, excuse me. But I would reach out to the vendors and reps and just make sure before you put it in kind of those types of places.
That's a great recommendation.
Yeah. In the other two pages, pictures, I just wanted to show, we still have that grass cloth that's continuing on that wall, but now here, instead of that boucle fabric, it's against a polished wood. So we have these imperfect lines of the grass cloth blended then with the polished case goods that has that beautiful kind of elegant and refined look of the polished wood, or these beautiful metal pieces, tables on the right screen. And just so it doesn't have to be, texture doesn't have to be fabric only. Think about how it can be used on the wall, even, a metal end table or a polished case goods piece up against the wall. Everything kind of has its own story to tell. And if you mix them so that not everything is high polish, not everything is boucle, not everything is grass cloth, right? Once you start kind of mixing those in, it really adds interest to the story.
That makes sense. Cool. Love it. Okay, let's roll into these.
More texture. Sorry. This is, I think, just kind of reiterating what we said before, the picture on the left is Varellin. And I love how you can see they have this beautiful fabric on the chair thrown in as a linen throw. They have this kind of plastered pot. They've brought in the natural elements of the dogwoods branches. They have these interesting lights and then the color and the texture of the artwork. So again, just like a beautiful use of how in just pulling together a few extra things that you're adding into the room and really adding that layer of additional texture. Contrasting right next to it is again a piece where we have polished table. We have the polish of like the books, right? That kind of reflective quality on the book covers. We have a little marble sculptural piece. And then in the background, we have the columns that again is a textural wood. So not everything has to have flat and polished is the texture, right? Like visually that creates a story and it's its own texture. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Stunning. So good. All right.
All right. We've got our acrylic or glass with metal details. So here on the left, that is from Highland House. And that is a glass table with those really cute little brass cap pieces on the legs, which I thought was so pretty. That's also has like a little side table, I think that you can get that's like that as well. On the right, also from Highland House, we have wood elements, we have metal elements, 2 different tones of wood. We have a bronze with a brass, and then we have the glass. And I love that you can design like this bottom shelf as well and still see what's underneath there. So they've styled it with some books here. It doesn't have to be like, for me, if you do a big, styling moment on top, keep it very neutral on the bottom. Likewise, if it's very minimal up top, like they've done here, then if you want to bring some more color and, items in to style with on the bottom, just make sure it's not just like a cluster of 2 shelves, like give the eye a moment. But I do love that you can see down with that glass piece on top.
I love this trend. I feel like it's kind of like a statement piece, when you can dress it up a little bit.
Like a little piece of jewelry, right? Like a little I wasn't expecting that,
Yeah. Super beautiful.
Now these ones, and I apologize for I didn't know we'd be doing this. I would have taken much better pictures, but I love these stands and they're like all awkward because I was like, oh, I'll get a picture of that. I'll get a picture of that, walking out. But these are from Hickory Chair and these are so stunning if your client has any artwork or sculptural pieces to house in them. It's a beautiful bronze leg and top and then glass enclosure for whatever you're displaying. It could be a rare book on display. It could be, whatever you want it to be inside of there. But I just think that they are really stunning and just make us like an architectural kind of sculptural moment on any wall.
That's what a great piece and what a great call out to somebody that has like these special pieces or like, even if it's something that's special to you, your kids' artwork. My mom used to.
Yes.
I know that sounds so silly, but my grandmother was an artist and, we took these art classes and I think having a moment and being able to house something that's really special to you in a very unique way can just pop a room for sure.
Yeah, totally. Well, and make it personal to that client, or to yourself.
100%. I'm excited for this trend. Talk to us
about it. Okay. So a lot of details in a lot of the upholstered goods that we're seeing and ways to customize. And I know that we're going to talk about this a little bit later when we talk about sourcing, because I know one big concern that we have as designers is getting shopped, right? Where we've heard multiple times where it's like, well, how can I stop them from, going and buying online? Customize, right? What you are doing here with the vendors from High Point, you can't do at West Elm. You can't do at Restoration Hardware. You can't do at Crate and Barrel. You can do these with the vendors and the relationships with the people who can semi-custom or totally customize these pieces for you. So on the left, we have, this is Mark D. Sykes for Chaddock. And here he's got this beautiful chair, blue velvet with white contrasting welt. You can see it as well here, but he has sort of that same, he's cut the corners. So instead of it just being a square back, right? You've got these angles, and the pillow kind of reflects that also. And then it goes to the piping. But it's just like a very slight detail, but it makes all the difference. I mean, it would still be beautiful if it was all blue, but look at the punch that it gives with that white contrast well. In the center, we have a chair from Highland House. Same, you can see they've got that pink double welt running around all the upholstered areas of the chair. And I just think it's just like, it makes the chair so much more special, and you're able to customize it for your client. If they love green, great, make it green. Doesn't have to be pink, whatever they want, you can give them. If you want that to be a brown wood instead of white, if it feels too feminine, put a dark wood on that, right? And that's the beauty of using the vendors to really customize things to work for you. I think we lost the presentation.
Let's grab it back. While we grab our presentation back, one of the things that I wanted to mention here is the point that you said about differentiating your business from, other people shopping you and going to West Elm and all of that jazz. I think customization is key because you're presenting something that they couldn't get without having you as a designer. So while we get our presentation back, there it is. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you've layered that in and how you set your price points to make sure that you're competitive, but you're differentiating yourself?
Right. And this is really tricky because I feel like there's two kinds of clients. There's the kind of clients who are going to shop you and be right there on, Google image search to be like, well, I found that same rug for this price, right? And then you have the clients who are like, I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate that you're making this custom for us. And there's a lot of these, and there's a lot of these. Oh, my screen's like flipped, so I meant to say. Anyway, there's enough of the people who appreciate what we do as designers that we really need to target, I believe, our services to them and try to steer ourselves more away from the people who we know are going to shop. And I think part of that is being upfront with the clients from the beginning. And even when we say, like in our contract, that, if we're presenting to you, we will buy the pieces, right? Like that's non-negotiable. That's in our contract. You're not shopping us. We spend a lot of time finding this for you. And then the argument goes away when you customize it, so that when they say, well, we found this chair, it's like, right, but that's not the fabric that we picked that goes with the sofa, that goes with the window treatment, that goes with the wallpaper, right? And then you just say, we have custom made this room and every detail in it for you specifically and the look that you wanted. And we've created that. Once we start taking away the customization and taking away the color, and we take all these things out, now that room isn't cohesive. Now it isn't what we had imagined it is. It's not going to look the same. I think the more honest we can be with our clients up front about this is our process and this is how we make our money on our projects is not only through charging you for our design fees, but we also make a markup on our product. Like we tell our clients that because we don't want them to come back and be like, you're double dipping. It's like, no, I told you, and it's in our contract that that's part of our profitability.
That's the business model. One thing that you did say there is you said the word markup, and I know that's a controversial statement
Yes.
where when you say markup, then they think that you're marking something up. And I know I've seen a lot of designers, I don't know how it's written in your contract, but do you actually use the word markup when you're talking to your clients, or do you say designer fee?
I don't use the word markup in our conversations or in our, I guess it just came out because I think that's, as an industry, a word that we use a lot. What we say is that we will get it for you at or below retail.
There you go. That is such a beautiful, and the reason why I wanted to point you that, obviously this is an industry conversation, but I just want the takeaway here is what you're saying. And then how you communicate that to your clients is going to be a little bit different. And they're still getting a savings. They still wouldn't be able to get that price point if they had not been working for you. And I think that's the value. You get this cohesive project that makes sense. It's one of a kind. You're not just going to like a Pottery Barn and a room that just is a Pottery Barn room is now in your living room, or Restoration Hardware. And you can circumnavigate some long lead times and, have the conversations up front. But I think the biggest takeaway that I'm getting from what you just said is the communication piece, and then laying out the lines and how you work up front to your clients from the get-go. And if you're getting those red flags, and if you're feeling like they're going to nickel and dime you, then you're just saying, no,
we're good. Not my project. Look for those red flags. And the second they say, well, we've had designers in the past that will mark it up, I will very quickly say, we will get you the pricing at or below retail. But our service and the reason you're hiring us is to bring, your vision to life and to make this the best project we can. If we've had, I had one client one time and they're like, oh, we had already started buying these bar stools and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I think it was from West Elm or something. I was like, okay, you buy those. And I was like, but we will not receive them. We will not check for damages. If there's any problems, we're out. And, they called and they're like, they said they were going to deliver, but they only delivered one. And we literally were like, we're so sorry, but you're in charge of that. Bye. But, you just have to. And as soon as they see that, they're like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to be tracking down, a missing.
This is a luxury service, to your point.
Luxury service.
There's ways to layer in, like, even these trends that we're talking now, the knowledge that you can instill on your clients, the customization that you can provide. I think it's really important that as a community, designers remember why you're here, why you started, and that it's okay to say no, and that not every customer, client, person is going to be the right fit for you.
Yeah.
And you can say no. But let's go back to, I know we can talk about this for hours. I just want to make sure.
I was like, forget the slides. Let's keep talking.
That's why I love working with you, because we have so many fun things to talk about.
Yes.
Definitely, as a follow-up, we'll be doing more things with you, Jenny, more in-person events. And we are putting together a social series where we'll be visiting different locations. I know our first one is at the end of May in Orange County, putting together like our House Pro Academies that you attended at High Point. So definitely these are the conversations that we're having. Yeah. We are a community together. We're only going to be stronger together. There's enough work 100%. To go around. We believed in this community over a competition thing for so long, and it's worked. So we can continue those conversations. I'll get back on track before I get in trouble. Let's hit this slide and then we'll move into the next trend.
Okay. And hopefully at the end we'll have more time, because now my brain's racing. Yes. So in this slide on the left, this is Highland House, and you can see how they have horizontal fabric and then vertical fabric with a little micro welt around that pillow. And then if you look at the back pillows, can you see that one is vertical and one is horizontal? Just a super fun, nothing. It took me a minute even to notice it when we were in the showroom. It was like, oh my gosh, what a fun, just little detail, right? Didn't take much, but it adds so much character to that piece. And don't forget, customization is not just on upholstered good. This is also from Highland House, but you have the option to change the wood, change the hardware, change if you want that to be white, painted white, if you want it to be painted silver, right? All of these opportunities that you have to look like the professional who can give them, your client exactly what they're looking for. So
I love that. Super beautiful. Right. This is my favorite topic here because I'm obsessed with this bench, and it is so stunning.
This is Baker.
Okay, stunning.
Yeah. So we walked into the showroom and I looked down at that little bench, and I'd come around the corner and you can see that sofa's there. So I couldn't even see it. So because I was coming from where the sofa is, and I looked down at it, was like, oh, that's a cute little bench. And my rep Jim was like, look at the bottom. And I came around the corner. I was like, oh, it's so cute. I love it so much more now. I liked it before. It's just like a cute bench in boucle fabric. And then when it had this little effect on it, scallop effect, I was like, stop. And then in the next room is this cute little scalloped coffee table that I want so bad. We all have the rectangle table. We all have the circle table. This, having that little something that nobody else has. West Elm doesn't have this. Pottery Barn doesn't have this. It's these are such fun little pieces that just those little details make such a difference. In the piece behind it, in the two chests, you have those arched profiles on the doors, which I love. Just, those little unexpected pieces that kind of just make everything a little statement piece.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
So pretty. And this is so pretty too.
Yes. So have had so much fun with this company on the left. It's called Go Home. And so you have these dark, navy and blue and white. You've got this, it's like a green. You've got the plums. You've got the purple backgammon sets. They have Jenga in like fuchsia and like neon. They have Connect Four and black, like a black lucite with blue and white little pieces, like so many like just little fun, unexpected pieces that are perfect for like a kid's playroom. Or we even did one in a family room. They had a lot of kids and we were just like, let's put it out here. And it was on the bookcase and it was really sweet and cute because it's unexpected, it's different, but it's also something that you're going to use. The center picture, and again, this was for me, not for for a presentation. So I just did a quick snap. This is from Tebow showroom, and you have this really pretty scallop detailed trim. Then they used a contrasting fabric, the scallop trim again, and then they tied it in with their main fabric for the window treatment. So I just thought just such a fun little way to use trim and to add something different. They can't buy these curtains or these window treatments at Ballard, so just make it yours, make it unique. And that's what they're hiring you for. The one on the right is from Highland House. And I just love how they've used that trim, just kind of this fun, frilly trim piece there to outline the pillows. And I just thought it was a cute little detail. Feels very kind of beachy. And just thought that would be so cute in like a little beach house. But,
so adorable. I love that.
Okay, unexpected details. So the picture on the left and the center are the same chair. This is again Baker. I think it's Barbara Berry for Baker. Okay. But you have these beautiful cane back chairs. And when you see it from the front, you don't get to see those sort of octagon, or maybe actually it's a hexagon. It's like a honeycomb almost, right? Mm-hmm. So when you walk in, you see the chairs and then you walk around the chairs and you see this detail and you're like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful from every angle, right? Yes. Sometimes the back of furniture is forgotten, and here she's made it the most beautiful part of the chair. So when you're walking around,
I love that. Yeah. That's like an art. I mean, that is exactly why you're getting hired. That is a statement piece.
This is it.
Of art. And that is, especially like, if you're in a big space and you have, the chair is not backed up to a wall. The back of a chair is an important detail. And
yes, do not put this if it has to live in like a little corner. Put this out in like a great room or room where people are walking around it. Yeah. And then the picture on the right, just fun, unexpected kind of color combination and pattern combination. This was at the Wildwood, I believe, showroom. We've got the animal print rug with this beautiful green velvet with lily pads and lily flowers, and then navy blue walls, and then they had 3 red plates stacked, and then some really fun artwork. It was really fun.
So pretty.
So wood tones and textures. So the left and the center photos are from Baker in the entry room, and you can see that even when you're looking at them from a side on, you see all those wonderful textures. But then when you look from the top down, like you also seen the textures. It kind of looks like a gear shift. And then you have the beautiful woven like rattan on the other one. They just did a really lovely job, I felt like, with adding the textures to not only their fabrics, but then also their, wood pieces, which I thought was really, really a great way to introduce texture.
And remind us, sorry, just a question. Who's the vendor here?
Baker.
Okay, Baker. Wow, uh-huh. Baker is really
that's another showroom that you've got to go to. So Thomas Pheasant has a line there. Barbara Berry, I say his name wrong every time. Jean-Louis Denois. That is not how you say it, but I think it sounds French, so I sound cool saying it, even though it's totally wrong. And they have Millen Road and a couple others. On the slide on the right, that was from Highland House. Both of these are hickory chair. So you can see we've got a lot of like sort of blondes, then we have the rich browns. But I loved, especially on the right, when we talk about the tones and the textures, it's the same wood tone, but they've used a piece in that chest that has a texture. And then the one above it, the console table that it kind of nestles under, is just smooth, right? And I think those two complement each other very well. On the left, also hickory chair, you have more of the blonde tones. which we're seeing, I think, a resurgence of right now in those lighter tones.
So pretty. So pretty.
Yeah. Okay, emerging lines. So Wexel Art was a company that we hadn't worked with or heard of before. Also Modern Plum, which is a bedding linen closet company. And then some custom wall covering options I wanted to show you, and then some chalk friendly furniture. So
let's dive in.
So this is Wexel Art, which is super fun because what you can do is, I can't remember if you send the art to them or if you just order the frame and then do it. But so the picture on the right, that's a scarf. So if you found a scarf on Travels or grandma has a scarf, you can frame it in these beautiful acrylic boxes. So they have the acrylic box option. And then on the left, you can see where it's acrylic, but it has sort of the brass little pieces that hold it together. Do you know what I mean? So they had a couple different options, but like so fun, so cool, lots of different art options. And then the fact that you can customize it, I thought was really a great idea.
This is cool. I really like this.
And I know that little Life is Gucci scarf that's on there looks kind of small, but I'd say it was probably like at least 2 foot by 2 foot in the showroom. So like just super fun. Find a cool scarf, get it framed, and then it becomes a piece of art. Most scarves are anyways, they're beautiful.
This is so cute. What a good gift too, if you're looking for like the perfect gift. How's the price point here?
I think it was pretty good. And in fact, we reached out to them because we're having to do an acrylic backsplash in a powder bath where the wallpaper comes down to the countertop, and they are going to source that for us because I was like, oh, we just found them and maybe we can buy pieces of it. And so we're going to be getting that from them. So, that's one thing when you go to High Point, the benefit is like, yes, this is what they do. It's art. Yes, that's it. But it's like, hey, do you think that I could also use them for XYZ? And they can. So it's awesome to try to just reach out to these guys who, I appreciate have taken the time and the expense of setting up at High Point and like bringing them business rather than, someone else. But it's a great vendor that we're really excited to be working with now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay.
So this is Modern Plum, and they have just the most beautiful, I think they're made in California. It's made in California. Just the most beautiful lightweight linens, lots of different stripes, lots of different color combinations like browns and camels, browns and whites, black and whites, blue and whites. Just a fun kind of assortment of different textures and linens that we're always looking for bedding and different vendors. So this we were really excited about. So this is Modern Plum.
Okay, love this. Looks super cozy and yummy.
Yeah. Okay, picture on the left is from Wendover Art. And what they did was they took one of their art pieces and they turned it into a vinyl wall covering. So you can take any of their artwork and make it into literally into wallpaper. And so I just thought it was such a statement. So they had it across from the bar where they have the snacks. So there was a couple tables and it went down one wall and then came across the other in an L. And I was just like, that's amazing. And so I am going to be using this in a house coming up where it's a long wall. You can't, how many pieces of art can we put on the long wall, right? So it's make the whole wall the piece of art. So really excited to find that. That's Wendover Art. And then on the right, this is the cutest. You can tell that was my Instagram shot. It's a darling little outdoor table that has this little lacy edge, and your kids can draw on it with chalk. And it's indoor outdoor. So this can be outside, it can be inside, but it was just so darling. Such a cute little moment.
Oh, I love that. That is so fun. And that's, again, your expertise of bringing that idea into the home, I think is so unique and so, and just sit at a table longer, for indestructible. Okay, now we get to segue into one of everybody's least favorite topics, but we're here to empower you to take your business to the next level. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about solutions for sourcing challenges, how you're facing this, how you're having these difficult conversations. What does that look like for your firm, Jenny?
So right now, I think where we used to have things just in writing or in mention, we're repeating ourselves multiple times throughout the process of, we are doing our best to make sure that the things that we're ordering for you are on track. Please know, as you know, with what you're finding at the grocery store, you can't buy a car, you can't, we are having supply demands. We are finding that a lot of the things that we're selecting, even though we have it due like an ETA, it's getting pushed back for a number of reasons, right? At first it was just, we had the supply chain demand when, warehouses were shutting down and you couldn't produce anything. And then we had the shipping demands where we would have our pieces finished in a warehouse in North Carolina, but there wasn't a trucking company that could bring it from there to us in Arizona. So it's sitting there for 4 to 6 weeks. Well, we never expected that. Usually we plan on 2. So we're always just trying to stay on top of letting everybody know in real time. So we've created a tracking method with a spreadsheet where we're updating it every week that we give to our clients, and we say, or we'll highlight options that we are like worried about. And it's like, okay, this specific piece has now been moved from, I just had this conversation last week with somebody, so I get it. It was going to be in August. It's now going to be September. I wouldn't be surprised if it keeps getting pushed a couple months. Is this a piece that we are still like in love with, that enough that we don't want to change it, or we have time, it's not in production, we can change it?
Okay.
The problem with, and it goes back to the customization, is there are some pieces that once you start the customization process, you can't change. So we have an upholstered sectional where we have some custom pieces, like a custom trim that we bought from Kravit that was shipped to that company. I can't go back and take that piece away from that vendor. What I can say to my client is, this is the reality. We have a loaner sofa that you can borrow. It's not going to go with your house. It's not going to be cute. It's actually in my kid's playroom right now, but it will give you a place to put your butt while you're watching TV this weekend. Do you know what I mean? Until your piece comes. Yeah. And not everybody has that. What's that?
Creative strategies,
Yeah. And not everybody's going to have like a loaner piece that they can loan out. We happen to have this one. It was a reject from a client that something was wrong with it. And I'm like, we'll just keep it, whatever. But it has come 3 times we've used it, and 3 different clients. And so it's kind of like a joke that it's like, if something comes in, damaged and they want to sell it to us for a fraction, we will keep it because someone's going to end up needing it. I will be donating my dining table and chairs to a client where we customized it, and it's not going to be there when they move in. And so it's like, hey, kids, guess what? We're going to eat on the island every night. I don't care. You just kind of have to make do. But I think that setting those expectations up front and letting them know you're doing the best that you can. Start selections early. That's the primary thing. Like, let's make this not even an issue by letting your clients know that you need a year. And I used to say, 6 months before you move in is when we'll start talking about furniture. Now I'm like, minimum a year, we're going to start talking about furniture before we think your house is going to be completed. Because by the time we present, do some revisions, get it priced, and then that can take, a couple of months.
Yep.
By the time you plan on 4 to 6 weeks, just the shipping. Now it just gets tighter and tighter. We have vendors who reached out. It's like we have a 36-week lead time. We've also learned, and this is one of the points, is say goodbye to the vendors who have not delivered for you during COVID. And I have 3 companies that I used often that I will not be using ever again for the rest of my life, based on the customer service I got during this time, based on how products arrived to me. Like, they just, we waited a year for this. You rushed it out the door, didn't package it properly, and now it's damaged. And now we have to wait for another one to come. Like, I'm just like, take them off our list. They're gone. They're dead to me.
That's a good point, Jenny. I think the pandemic pivot is real. It's like, how did you shift your business? And how did you shift your business in terms of who you're purchasing from, who you want to work with, right?
Yeah.
Your vendor partners, they're your partner. They're part of your business. It's not just somebody that you buy from. And right, you're in a very pressurized situation, and who's going to have your back while you're dealing and navigating through all of these different challenges. I think that's very real. It's like, even if they were good before, everybody had challenges. I understand. I sympathize that. You also have a business to run. What's working for you? What's not working for you? And you move from there.
And that's it. And that you just have to learn from those experiences and say, based on how you've handled the situation, the way you've treated me, the communication via email, and like the things that you're saying are not okay. And go to High Point, and there's 20,000 vendors you can pick from. So why deal with the ones that aren't delivering? And sometimes it's the rep. I have to be honest, like it's the reps is the reason we won't work with the company anymore. And that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And if they want our business, then and they work hard for it, they're going to get it. But I'm going to pick and choose who we work with.
They have to earn your 100%. They have to earn your business, and they have to see you as a partner. And you're willing to give. They're willing to give.
Yeah,
need a little,
team effort.
It's a team effort, and I think that is why they are in business, is to provide that customer service, and the level of customer service that you are providing to your customer is so high up there that it has to be matched, right?
It has to. If I'm going to promise my client that the reason why you're paying me this much money to design and you're paying this much money for the furniture is because we deliver 5-star experience, because we do XYZ and we promise this, this, and this. And then I don't have the people working behind the scenes to help me meet those expectations. I'm dead in the water. There's nothing I can do. So this has been a very interesting 2 years for us in that we've just learned a lot and we've moved on, and that's okay. That's okay. They used to be good, and we felt that we were a team, but we were not. So,
yep, totally. Yeah. And then I liked your point here about asking designers in the community what vendors, like that's why the purpose of us doing this session today is like we just name dropped a bunch of different vendors. Where I see somebody in the chat asking about dropping the name of some vendors. We're happy to drop the names of chat, and you just unleash some of your secrets, some of your new trade people that you found, which is incredible. But I think that's the power of community that we love talking about.
100%. And I have a couple designers, and I'd recommend everybody kind of do this. Find the people in your community that it's what you said in the beginning, which is we're not against each other, we're with each other. So there's 2 designers that live here. We all are in Gilbert, Arizona. We're all great designers. We love each other. We get together, every 6 to 8 weeks and have dinner, but we are constantly texting. Hey, do you guys know where this was from? Hey, is there, the electrician I usually use is busy. Who do you recommend? And we're just constantly giving each other the information, the feedback. How much do you charge? What did you just put in your contract after COVID? What did we learn? Building that sense of community. And if you live in a small town and you don't have it, find it outside. So like when we went to the House Pro at High Point just last month, we met a couple designers that I know that I will stay in touch with, where I felt like our businesses were similar. I felt like we could learn from each other. Like those are the relationships you want to build and cultivate, because it will come around tenfold in what you get out of it as well. So just having somebody that you can bounce, thoughts off of. And it's what this, I think House does a great job of building that community so that we have each other too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's it keeps you, when you're having a hard day and you're like, I want to quit, I don't want to do this anymore. You have your resources that you can lean to get that extra support, and whatever definition you want to say, wine and design, whether it's WHINE. I think that is the beauty of where we are at in 2022, because if you look at the interior design industry in 2010, before even the recession, we're in shock 2008, people were so closed off. It was like so proprietary. It was like you couldn't break this seal. And people wouldn't talk about their pricing. I think that if you can uniform the pricing, and then that makes the conversations in your area where you're all charging kind of in a similar way, then people get used to that. It makes it easier for everybody. There's no standard, right? When you hire a lawyer, you have this standardized process of how you're going to pay that lawyer. When you hire a designer, it can be all over the place.
Right.
But if you have these conversations with your competition, which is not necessarily your competition, but more your network, then we can help standardize the industry and get paid more. And
that's exactly. Yeah. And there's a saying, right? A rising tide lifts all ships. If we're all down here competing against each other and maybe lowering our rate because we really want the job, like how is that benefiting us, right? Like if we all say our rates are X and we all charge, at retail or below, like if everyone's doing that, then there is that sort of standardized, like you said, process. And it's not going to ever, I think, be 100% that way. But I think recognizing the amount of work that we do and the amount of time that is spent on the projects, people don't have a clue. Like, people are like, you have such a fun job. Like, you get to play with fires. I'm like, that's 5%. 5% of my job is fun. The other 95% really sucks. And come spend a day with me. I will be glued on my computer, looking at spreadsheets, sourcing something that's been back ordered for 12 months. Like, it's not fun. Stop. It's like actually incredible.
And that's that's a conversation we had back in the day of like how to make your job less administrative and more fun and more creative. And I think to your last point here, just going back to our sourcing challenges, leveraging the house community, leveraging the trade program. How do you use the trade program?
The trade program, like with, you're saying in general terms?
Yeah. Like one of the things, and I can speak to this a little bit here, and I know that we've talked about this in the past, but leveraging the house trade program. So essentially, let's say you have a bunch of things that you want to source, can't make it to High Point. You can access upgraded shipping, such as preferred elite delivery. So you don't have to worry about the shipping to receiver and dealing with kind of all the nuances there with your spreadsheet. And with preferred elite, all items are delivered kind of in one coordinated shipment. So yes, obviously, like a bulk of your items are going to go through your receiver and you're going to schedule that. But you can also leverage that trade program through us.
Yeah.
It helps save time on any damage replacements, or any inspections, and you can obviously upgrade to white glove shipping, so you don't have to do. And that's not for a bulk, like every item you're going to ship and buy things differently, but you couple and things that fell out or dropped out of your assortment. That's a quick way to get inventory in.
And that's probably more how we use it. Like, is for it's. And there was people at House Pro who used that like religiously, and they were singing praises for it. For us, I would say it's more what you described, where it's like, what can we get? What do we know is going to be taken care of? What do we know? They're not going to tell us that it's available in this month, and then we get it. Like, how are we going to get this, quickly, efficiently, know that somebody's there to take care of the damages if it's damaged? I don't have to spend 5 hours on the phone fighting with the shipper and the trucking company. Like, that's the beauty of it. And that's a great way to use it. And if you use it more, then, use it for what you need it for, but know that it's there and that you can utilize it kind of as much or as little as you need. But it's a great thing to have in your back pocket for, sometimes people need things faster. Sometimes you just can't be prepared, or you're like, crap, I completely forgot, that this little tiny room existed. I need stuff fast. And so they'll help you with that. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And then just to wrap on a high note, obviously I'm going through some of the questions here, but I think the biggest one is like, how do you prep for High Point? What do you bring? Where do you stay? How do you, obviously this could be a webinar in itself, but high level, kind of how do you set your, like if it's your first time going to High Point, how do you set your schedule? How many days are you there for? Are you starting to plan for it now and book your flights to save on money and costs? I know flights are getting expensive. Like, what does that look like for you? And how do you make sure that you hit all of your top spots?
Yes. So know going in that High Point has very little hotel rooms. You are probably most likely going to stay in the Winston-Salem area or Greensboro. Also know that make sure you stay in a hotel that has the shuttle. So most of the like Holiday Inn, Residence Inn, Marriott's, whatever, they're going to be a part of the shuttle program to High Point. And you can check the High Point website to find out what hotels are on the shuttle line. So before I started taking my team and it was just me, I would stay in one of those hotels, and just every morning I was up and hopped on the shuttle. It's like 30 minutes. Now I go with my team. We'll get an Airbnb and just rent a car. But if you're going, one or two of you, go to a hotel, take the shuttles. I wouldn't bother renting a car. It's not really worth it. It's kind of hard to find parking in High Point as well. But as far as I would start thinking about it about 6 months ahead of time so that you can be sure to get a room. And then also they'll open up registration so that you can have they'll send you the badges, but you have to do it within a window. Like, don't do this last minute. You can always register on site, but like, I'd rather have it mailed to me and just be able to go right in rather than wait in line at registration. I would say for me, I always get up early. Like, I start my day I think it opens at 8:30. I'm there at 8:30 and I'm there till it closes. Like, if I'm going to be there usually 3 to 4 days, I'm there every moment of every day. I don't stop to eat. If they have snacks in that place, I'm like, okay, snack. I'm not spending time at the food truck. I'm like, I have 4 days. It cost a lot of money to get here and I'm going to get the most out of it. Most of the showrooms do have food, lunch, snacks, beverages. Like, it just keeps you going throughout the day. Some of them have like bigger lunches where you're like, oh, I'm full. That was awesome. Right? Okay, let's go. But I'm just one of those people who's like, go, 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 go. And so my team is like, we wear sneakers. Like, I think maybe first time I was like, well, I'll take sneakers and then one other pair. And I was like, no, it's sneakers. I'm not going to be cute. I'm just wearing sneakers. And so I always take a raincoat because it always rains. Like, it doesn't matter. You're going to get rained. And a little travel umbrella that I just keep with me so that just in case I've got it. I'm trying to think what else as far as, like preparations, but
I think that's a really good starting point for sure. I think the biggest thing that you said is making the most out of your days, and if you're spending time there, like, time is money. So if you're spending time away from your clients and you're going to be at market, you're at market. The last question that I'm seeing here is like, how did you pick? Did you just go to the vendor directory, like one of the first few times that you went and like picked out the vendors that you really wanted to see? Like, how did you weed out? Because High Point's different than Vegas. It's massive and spread out. Massive. How did you kind of weed out who you were going to see and who you weren't going to see?
So I was already working with some of the vendors before I'd ever gone to High Point. Okay. So like, I was working with CR Lane, Vanguard, and Highland House before I'd even gone to High Point. So I was like, oh, I'm for sure going to those three. I was already working with Wendover Art. I was already working with Visual Comfort. The vendors that I needed, they have an app. There's a High Point app that you can go through, that you can select categories. Like, if you are there for bedding, you search like bedding and linens and then look at all those companies. If you want to take it and you have the time to go a step further, because there's not that much detailed information about the companies on the app, I have sometimes in the past looked up some of their websites and been like, nope, not wasting my time. Nope, not wasting my time. And you can heart the different companies or vendors so that when you go in, you could say like, my favorites, and then it will just list out your favorites. So when you're in a building, so like the IHFC is like the main hub. That's where the shuttles will drop you off. It's this big building and it has a billion different wings. And it's literally the most confusing thing I've ever been in. But it will tell you, here's all your hearted showrooms that you wanted to visit within this building. Then you go to the next building and it's like, here's all the showrooms you want to see in this building. So really, I would say the app really helps, and it will help with directions, and it will tell you what shuttle you need to get on to get to it. So it's really helpful. I think really maximize the use of the app and really prepare before you go. If you just show up and you're like, I guess I'll just start walking buildings, you're going to see one small fraction of what you should if you came prepared and you're like, okay, here's where I'm going in IHC. Here's where IHFC. Here's where I'm going in Showplace. Here's Hamilton. Here's, you know what I mean? Get to know the areas, kind of get to know the map and where things are, and make sure you're not hopping from place to place. So like, that's another thing is like, I'll plan my day based around the areas of showrooms. So I'll know I'm going to be in this district today. I'm going to be in this district tomorrow, and see all the showrooms instead of popping back and forth from one end of High Point to another. It's literally a town. So It's not like building A, building B. It's like this part of town or that part of town. So
that's awesome advice. Thank you so much, Jenny. And the last thing that I would say is, reach out, come to one of our panel events. At High Point, we love to have events. Usually the Friday we'll do a House Pro Academy. So try to book for that. If you do want to come to one of our learning sessions, it's an all-day event, usually the Friday before High Point starts. High Point usually starts on Saturday. So we do it while you're fresh and you're excited, not at the end when you're too tired. And definitely look out for the parties. I know it can be exhausting. Dinners at proximity are always fun. Like, you can layer in some fun there too.
Yes.
We try to do our panels like either on Saturday or Sunday at like a 3:30 time frame. So it's at the end of your day. So not cutting into too much of your shopping time. And then I think your biggest point is, find vendors that are really wanting to work with you and become a partner and understand your business model, what you're looking for. The more volume you do with certain vendors, the certain threshold you're hit, so you get higher discounts. So again, your overall profitability will be higher. But yeah, Jenny and I could literally.
That's one last thing I'll say really quick. Make appointments. So if there is someone that you want to get in to see, sometimes they're booked out months in advance. So you have to like months in advance say, hey, I'm planning on High Point. Can I come see you Monday sometime between 9 and 12? And then, but do that ahead of time, because once they're booked, and you're just going to get put with like some random person who doesn't know you. Even if you haven't been to that showroom before, say, hey, you're the rep in my area. I would love to come and meet you, talk to you about my business, and have you walk around the showroom. You want your rep to meet you and have that face-to-face so that when you call later down to open up the account or to place your first order, there's that, oh yeah, I remember, yeah, High Point, that was great, blah, blah, blah. Make those appointments. So that's the most critical thing. So.
Well, thank you so much, Jenny. You are a book of knowledge. We are so grateful for your time and energy. You are the best since I met you many, many years ago. I'm glad that we're along this ride together, and I'm so proud of you and your business and all that you've accomplished. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with our community.
Thank you.
Look forward to more events happening soon. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.